what is going on with limited capability for work and no work-related activity and ESA and universal credit and the potential universal credit health element. I've seen the comments. I'm going to go into this today. There's a lot of confusion between what was said by lizkendall, what was published in the green paper, what was published in the previous white paper, and what has been published in the spring statement. And by the way, I am also being sent messages from claimants who are having certain actions taken on their accounts right now. So if you're one of those people that go, this is not going to affect us for the next 4 or 5 years, trust me, you are going to want to watch this video. Now, before I go into it, I want to say thank you guys for registering on the Justice Journals. I've also seen some of the comments. As you can see, I have been very ill. So what I was planning to do for you on the Justice Journals has been delayed by a week. So I'm sorry about that. But it is what it is. I can't help being ill. The next thing I want to do before I go into everything else is I want to discuss this comment from the lovely Sharon Jones, a wonderful subscriber over on YouTube, because I think this really polarizes a lot of the situation right now and what is going on with universal credit and everything else. So Sharon says she migrated from ESA onto universal credit. She's fully disabled. She was getting £440 every 4 weeks. Now she's getting £256 every 4 weeks. She's single, she's disabled. She doesn't know she's on the higher rate. She's confused. It's been set up over the phone. She doesn't have an online journal, etc., etc. So basically, lovely Sharon is getting like nearly half of what she was getting already. Okay, when she's transferred. She's got lots of conditions which require obviously heating, osteoarthritis by the sounds of it, and she wants to know what she can do because she doesn't even have enough to eat, or is just reducing what she's doing to eat like a sandwich once every 4 days. So Sharon, I'm going to go into this and try and help you out as best I can. Okay, first of all, I am so sorry that you're in this situation, and I don't think you have been given all of the right information, or perhaps had the right things potentially applied to your claim. So let's check this. First of all, you can call the Universal Credit Centre and online, and you can tell them that you have migrated from ESA to universal credit. Now, firstly, you want to ask them if you're eligible for transactional protection, and if you are, why hasn't it been applied? Or ask them, has it been applied? So that transactional protection is there because you have obviously transferred from ESA, they call that a legacy benefit, over to universal credit. With transactional protection, any change of circumstances, if and after you are given it, will remove the transactional protection, and that can be anything. A change in circumstances, a change of health. Your health's got better, your health's got worse, someone's moved out of your house, someone's moved in, you've moved house, anything at all. I mean, it's DWP, isn't it? Anything they can do to rip away a transactional protection, they will do. But it sounds like you're not getting it. The other thing that might be happening here is that the universal credit is paid on a month-by-month basis. Okay, so whilst that transformation is happening from you going from ESA to universal credit, there might be like a difference in the payment frequencies, because universal credit is paid monthly, ESA is obviously paid every 2 weeks. Discretionary payments are actually given to local councils, like local authorities, by the government. Funding, it's a payment that you don't normally have to pay back. They call it a discretionary grant. Actually, you can use it for white goods, like this sort of thing, paying off a bill. If you've got an outstanding council tax bill, or like anything else in this sort of situation, because you are technically what they would class you as a vulnerable person. So use those words on the phone. Hello, I need some help. I'm a vulnerable person. I am disabled. I've transferred from ESA to universal credit. I don't understand my payments. I'm getting paid less. I'm eating once every 4 days. I can't afford to heat my house. This is adversely affecting my health condition and making it worse. The next thing is to request a formal letter of your statement. Universal credit is actually managed digitally, but you've clearly got to phone a claim there. So any information that you need to have communicated to you, they need to print off and send it to your house. This is normal, right? I don't know why it hasn't happened, but it should have happened. So ask for that to be done so that you can fully read and understand what is happening with your claim. Also, make sure if you're not already registered with your local council that you're getting the full amount, the full discount of council tax that you're meant to be getting. And there are certain schemes that are rolled out in job centres when it comes to internet, phone and sometimes power, where you get a certain discount as well. So just ask them for all of this. Tell them that you are struggling with your money and it is up to whoever's managing your claim, your work coach, to help you out with that and signpost you to the relevant places that are local to you. I hope that helps, my lovely, and make sure you stay in contact, and if you need any help, you know where to come. Right guys, let's crack on with these new changes and trying to iron out some of the grey areas in things that Lizkendall and Rachel Reeves has and hasn't said, and things that have and haven't been printed. So too many people have poor experiences of the system. Well, you don't freaking say. This is what has been printed by DWP. Whilst many people have a good experience of interacting with the health and disability benefit systems, some do not. And apparently only 3% of us who are not happy with it has been heard at tribunal. I'm not quite sure that figure's correct. But anyway, these are the reasons for them making the current changes, which we're going to be talking about now, relating to LCWRA and ESA. Right, I'm going to try explaining this bit by bit so you understand the processes involved, or what should be involved, or what was involved, and the things that are going to change, because as you guys know, I used to work there before I had to sue them for disability discrimination and unlawful harassment, which I won. So in December 2024, DWP tried to change what they're now doing with PIP, which is one of the descriptors for the work capability assessment. So they tried to change something. They changed the form on their that you could download for work capability assessment, and then they also tried to remove one of the mobilising descriptors. Now, this was actually stopped by the Supreme Court in 2024. Again, they considered it to be unlawful. DWP apparently put forward evidence, and the court said that it wasn't comprehensive and basically it didn't add up. So instead of DWP taking on board what the Supreme Court stated as suggestions, amendments that they would like to see done for the work capability assessment, DWP have now decided to completely remove the work capability assessment. Now, the relevance of this is, formally, in order to apply for limited capability for work and no work-related activity, you have to have a work capability assessment. That's that form you download, you fill in, and then somebody calls you, okay? Now, normally you have to be on a fit note for 28 days before you can apply for a work capability assessment. It's automatically triggered by the universal credit system. Some work coaches can override it, although they shouldn't do. They should listen to the claimant, but it's something that can be done. So DWP have gone, all right, well, we're not happy about what the Supreme Court have said. I'm reading between the lines here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to remove the work capability assessment altogether, and we're now going to make up a new criteria for being eligible for LCWRA that has nothing to do with the work capability assessment, because of course the Supreme Court have told us off about it and stopped what we wanted to do. At this point, I want to give a massive shout out to the Good Law Project and the wonderful Ellen Clifford, who were the two organisations and people involved in making that happen. Lots of love to you guys. And now what DWP is saying, now they got rid of the work capability assessment, is no, now there's a new eligibility criteria for LCWRA, and it's going to be that 4-point rule. Now, this is the place where lots of people are getting very confused, right? Now, in the green paper, they did state that the 4-point rule would apply for the to be eligible to become eligible for limited capability for work and no work-related activity, in addition to other eligibility factors, right, for the 4-point rule. But in their spring statement, which was published like 24 hours ago now, but 48 hours ago now, but 2 weeks later, after the green paper, and was not mentioned by Lizkendall in detail or Rachel Reeves at all, was this: the 4-point rule is also now going to apply for, or be PIP, basically apply to being eligible for PIP. So in the green paper, they said if you want to get LCWRA, you have to get 4 points from PIP. Now they're saying if you want to get PIP, want to be eligible for PIP, you have to have 4 points in the same daily living activities. Now that's a double whammy. So basically what they're trying to do here is literally, excuse the pun, but kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, lots of people are in the comments are, I know you're trying to help, but guys, please just read what information is out there. People who have got serious long-term conditions, it is highly likely. So people that are completely immobile, incontinent, paraplegic, some of you lovelies have been writing in the comments, thank you so much, I appreciate you, I appreciate what you're doing to write in the comments so much. You are really not going to be affected by this. I'm telling you what, if you are, get in contact with me. It is highly likely that this is going to happen to you, but for everybody else, it is going to be applicable. And I want to talk about reassessments now, because lots of you guys are going, no, the rate is going to be frozen. We're going to go into the rates in a minute as well. The rates are going to be frozen for us because we're already claiming LCWRA. It's only going to affect the new people and we won't have to be reassessed. It's only going to be the new people. Well, I've been reading between the lines. Now, don't shoot the messenger, because I did this last year with the green paper. Everyone was going scaremongering. I think I'm about to ban that word on TikTok. Well, lo and behold, a year later, everything that I saw reading between the lines has come true. And for people that don't know the job I used to do, right, I used to have to assess claims nationally, particularly for people with disabilities, and correct them and retrain work coaches and write training for work coaches and team leaders where certain things may or may not have been followed correctly. That's all I'm going to say on that. So getting back to this, LCWRA is going to go, the actual, not the payment, but the actual title of it is going to go, and that is going to be called Universal Credit Health, okay? Universal Credit Health. So Universal Credit Health and PIP are both going to have the 4-point rule apply to it. Hopefully someone like the Good Law Project are going to stop this and this won't happen. But if it does get put through, then this is what's going to happen. And I'm just going to read out a quote. In fact, I'm going to put a quote from the government on here where they have stated there's a part of this process that they're not even putting in open consultation. They're literally going forth with it. Not quite sure that that's legal, but anyway, let's have a look. So I need to read out the clause or the point so we can get to the bottom bit so you understand it, because it kind of flows. First, we will scrap the work capability assessment. This will end the state categorising people into binary groups and labelling them either as can or can't work. I do just want to point out here where it says this will end the state categorising people into binary groups. So in order to apply labour regime in the whole universal credit system and the PIP system, people need to be categorised. So in order to categorise people, they need to be assessed, right? So just trust me on this when I think that will be their next game plan. They've removed the categorisation of certain people now because they've removed the work capability assessment. Instead, any financial support for health conditions in universal credit will be assessed via a single assessment, the PIP assessment, and be based on the impact of disability on daily living, not on capacity to work. This will decouple access to the health element in universal credit, currently LCWRA, referred to as universal credit health throughout. That's what I just explained a few minutes ago. From work status. So people can be confident that the act of taking steps towards and into employment will not put their benefit entitlement at risk. Now, listen to this part, the next part. We will implement this change via primary legislation. Further details will be published in the forthcoming white paper. We are not consulting on this measure. That's pretty definitive. And that defined objective then follows on with this. So now when people are saying, will I be reassessed? Will I not be reassessed? So this is for people on LCWRA, okay? I'm not talking about PIP, I'm talking about LCWRA right now. We will guarantee that no one who has been found LCWRA prior to April 2026 and remains LCWRA following reassessment will see their UC health element entitlement changed. So this is a screenshot from their own publication. So they definitely intend to reassess everybody, in my humble opinion, for LCWRA unless you have got very, very, very serious, highly plausible, highly evidential health conditions that affect your life adversely. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this is what I think they're going to be doing. And I'm going to bring up a comment now from somebody else in my comments who's actually already had this done to them, okay? And it comes from one of my lovely YouTube subscribers, Sir Royal. Thanks for making me aware. I thought I changed work groups, was in LCWRA, didn't have to look for work. Now it just says LCW and the job centre now saying I've got to look for work by law. I told them that they'd have to drag me out of my home first. How can they change us? How can they change us like this? I've even got Illa now housebound. They changed me with no reassessment. All wrong. Thanks for your hard work. So Royal, make sure you come on over to the website and register, my lovely. I've got some wonderful resources that are going to help you out with this. Okay. And I'll be explaining those things in points of law for you inside the website. Now, when we look at Sir Royal's comment and we look at the tables that have been published by the government on how they're going to move people from LCWRA to LCW, Sir Royal, I'm pretty sure that without some kind of documentation or legislation that's actually passed in Parliament, that they can't do that. So there might be other things if you've had a change in circumstances where your health might have got better or you haven't provided documentation. But as I said, come on over to the website and I will be able to help you out with that. So guys, you can see here what they are doing. Pretty underhand to say the least. So evidence is your best key here. Right, I want to go on to the amounts now because I'm trying not to make the videos too long. Please watch them, guys, and share them out because it does help support the good cause. So let's talk about the money. Let's talk about the money that is going to be happening now, or the things that they say they're going to be doing with LCWRA. So I'm going to call LCWRA, which is going to be called Universal Credit Health. Let's just take this down a little bit. I hope you guys can still see that. Let's just look at the amounts people are getting now and the amounts you're going to be getting going forward. I think this is a little bit more now, but in their own documentation, they have put that current claimants, so current LCWRA claimants are going to get £97 a week. I think it's a bit more, like I said, right? But I'm just taking it from their information. So they're saying that this amount is going to stay, you're going to carry on getting that until 2029, 2030. Okay, but you're only going to be able to get that, you're only going to get that frozen amount if you comply with this. And they state, while existing claimants' LCWRA payments are frozen, they may still face reassessments. And if they are no longer considered to have LCWRA eligibility, I think is the word they're missing out there, their benefit rate could be affected. So basically, I'm going to break this all down. Now I've told you pretty much everything. They've moved the goalposts, they've got rid of LCWRA, they've reintroduced a new criteria for eligibility, and that's how they're going to balance those books and get all of those people from LCWRA into LCW. But there is light potentially at the end of the tunnel, according to the Department of Work and Pensions, and that light at the end of the tunnel is called the work allowance. Because DWP want everybody who has a health condition who formerly said that they couldn't work, which is why because of their health, which is why they are on or claiming LCWRA. DWP have now decided to ignore that fundamental fact and said, okay, well, you can try and do some work. So in order to help you meet the shortfall of payment as well, when it becomes unfrozen, or if it becomes unfrozen before 2029, 2030, we're going to offer you a very comprehensive, I suppose they would say in their words, work allowance. And that means you can go to work, keep your universal credit, keep your LCWRA payment or universal credit health payment, and you can try work and earn up to £404 a month if you also receive the housing element of universal credit. And if you're not receiving the universal credit, the housing allowance of universal credit, it works out at £673 a month. So that's another way that they're going to say, well, if you're short on money, why don't you try doing some work? I will point out at this point, guys, as you know, I help people create, start, launch, grow businesses, and I do an awful lot with the helping people get their access to work funding as well, considerable amount. They haven't mentioned self-employment. You can be self-employed and be on LCWRA as well. And the measurement is completely different because you can earn a lot more money on LCWR self-employed than you can for an hourly rate on LC or any benefit, but LCWRA, because you cannot go over 16 hours when it is work related. Okay, self-employment is like completely different. So let me know, guys, if you have any questions on that. Like I said, I hope it helped. I'm feeling pretty ropey, guys, so I've tried to explain it and break it down a little bit more for you with their evidence and their information and iron out the issues. Sorry, guys. What I will say is that reassessment for LCWRA is highly likely, and I would even say at a certain point that will follow through for PIP as well. So that's honestly what I think, but that is the information we've been given to date. And it's probably likely to change, hopefully, when the Supreme Court get involved. Let me know, guys, and have a great day. Love to you all. Thanks for following. Thanks for sharing. Support the community. And by the way, people that are being rude in the comments to other people, be it here on YouTube or on TikTok or any of the other social media platforms of the Justice Journals, when you're saying ADHD isn't a disability or this isn't a disability and you start getting really rude, you just get blocked. So this is a completely non-tolerant space for people that want to question someone's disability. Nobody has the right to question anybody else on this, and I'm not going to have people baited and made to feel uncomfortable for saying how they feel about a topic and a subject which is clearly very important. So just know that, okay? So there's no second chances in my comments. I have a little team that help as well. You just get blocked. So just know that, okay? Anyway, have a good day. Goodbye.